Being able to hear things is really important for animals, and lots of animals have evolved hearing, but today we'll be learning about how the human ear works and how we hear things. So firstly, we need to be able to describe different parts of the ear. So here is the side of a human's head. On the outside, we have what's called the auricle. And this is the outer part of the ear that collects sound waves and passes them through into the inner part of the ear. So this first area, which includes the auricle and the tube leading inside your head, is the outer ear. Deeper inside your ear, we get to the middle ear, which starts at the eardrum, which is a thin membrane that collects vibrations in the air. In other words, it collects sound traveling through the air. So this membrane is the eardrum. And connected to the eardrum is 3 tiny bones, which are the 3 smallest bones in your body, but possibly 3 of the most important ones as well. The first one is attached to the eardrum, and it's called the hammer. The second bone is attached to that one, and it's called the anvil. And the third bone is really small and connected to the anvil, and it's called the stirrup. Together, these 3 bones are called the ossicles, which just means small bones. The ossicles. And the function of the ossicles is to transmit the vibrations in the eardrum, transmit them or pass them along the bones to the cochlea, which is the main part of the inner ear. And the cochlea is a spiral shape, like a snail's shell. So after the ossicles, we have the inner ear, where the cochlea is. Cochlea. And the cochlea is filled with fluid, and on the inside of the cochlea, it's hollow. So it's basically a tube that's wound up into a spiral shape. And on the inside of the tube are tiny, tiny hairs that sense vibrations. So right where the stirrup touches the cochlea, this is called the oval window. And this tiny region passes the vibrations from the ossicles into the cochlea, where they're sensed by the tiny hairs on the inside of the cochlea. But once the hairs have sensed it, we need our brain to be able to detect those movements. And that's why there are nerves that run from our brain and attach onto the surface of the cochlea. So this is the auditory nerve or the hearing nerve. The auditory nerve. So the auditory nerve detects when the hairs in the cochlea sense vibrations, and then they send an electrical message out into the brain, which is then processed into sound that we hear. A final feature of the ear we need to look at in a bit more detail is just attached at the top of the cochlea. And these are, again, tubes that are hollow, and they're in a semicircle shape. So we call them the semicircular canals. Semicircular canals. And these aren't involved in hearing, but they are responsible for us keeping balance. Again, there are hairs on the inside of the tubes, and these hairs sense when our head moves off balance, and that's why we feel like we're about to fall over, and we can sense when we're not standing upright. So to summarize, sound waves moving through the air pass in through the auricle, and then they vibrate the eardrum. The vibrations pass through the ossicles, where they touch the oval window, and the oval window passes the vibrations onto the cochlea, where it's sensed by the tiny hairs, and they pass the message to the auditory nerve, which passes it to the brain. And that's how we hear sounds.